Okay, in this video we're going to do, roll off there. In this video we're going to look at arming and disarming and diagnostics, okay? Task sheet 86, okay? I don't have, I'm not going to use a car for this, specifically that is, actually, but we've got this task sheet 86, it's in Moodle for you, and then if you'll look at and print off, if you want, the wiring diagram that goes with it. So we're going to fill this out with the wiring diagram and with what we've got on our service information, okay? And just talk about it a little bit more. This video won't take very long, okay? So task sheet 86, we're looking at a GMC Envoy, a 2003 model. So it's a 2003 GMC Envoy, all right? And I just want to point out a few things here with the wiring diagram and so forth, and just to review that a little bit, show you what that looks like, just because this is something we would do if we were in class, okay? It's just that simple. All right? So, number one, check service information for specific disarming and enabling procedures. So we've already talked about that a little bit, okay? But it says specifically there for that vehicle. So I can't stress that enough, that whatever vehicle you're working on, Ford, I guess you might have noticed I had a Ford shirt on today, you know, trying to give some equal time there to the other manufacturers maybe. Actually, I got a friend that's got some Mustangs. But anyway, excuse me, the specific disarming and enabling procedures for that vehicle. But generally speaking, we're going to disconnect the negative battery cable, all right, and we're going to disconnect the fuse, all right, generally speaking, all right. Locate the airbag schematic and determine the following information, okay. So we have the airbag schematic, that's what we're going to use here, all right. It says describe the location of the airbag controller, okay. Well, the schematic that we have here doesn't specify where the controller is at, okay. But if we look in service information, we can find out specifically where it's at. But I can tell you that all of those controllers nowadays are going to be mounted to the body of the vehicle, okay. They're going to be rigidly mounted to the body of the vehicle because why? They have that sensor inside of them. That's that deceleration sensor, okay. So it has to be rigidly mounted, almost like it's part of the body, so they can sense that motion or that deceleration, okay? So this one in particular is mounted directly to the body and is underneath the center console of the vehicle. Now, that's a common place, even if it doesn't have a console, okay, it's going to be underneath the carpet, underneath the console, usually right in the center of the vehicle, somewhere around about far back as the seats, you know, right next to the seats. They're usually right in that area, about the middle of the vehicle, okay, the front seats, that is. So it's really about, if you looked at the vehicle end to end, side to side, it's almost in the middle of the vehicle, bolted to the floor. Because some of those modules also have yaw sensors in them, okay? Sometimes they double that up. It's the airbag module and sensor, and then they have that multi-axis sensor in it, okay, it's called sometimes. All right, so it's got the yaw sensor, accelerator sensor in it, decelerator sensor, it uses all that, and so they just go ahead and put it inside that airbag module, at least General Motors does. So know that that can be right there. That multi-axis sensor can be inside that airbag module. Sometimes it's separate, but a lot of times, sometimes it's all one piece. All right, they're sharing information anyway. So 2A is mounted directly to the vehicle and is underneath the console. All right, describe the location of the arming sensor. Well, in this particular place, that arming sensor is that deceleration sensor, and it's inside, if you will, of the SDM, or the Sensing and Diagnostic module. That's why they call that Sensing and Diagnostic. Not only does it diagnose and check those deployment loops and see if they're okay, it's also a sensor inside there. So they call it, GM calls it SDM, Sensing and Diagnostic module. The arming sensor is inside that one on this car, or this truck, this SUV. Just as a note there, out of description of operation, I made a note next to on my sheet here that SDM also contains a 23 volt loop reserve, okay, for 1 minute. So we talked about that a while ago, that the diagnostic module has the reserve power in it. So this one has a 23 volt, kind of an odd number, but that's what it is. Excuse me. Get a drink of water here. "23 volts reserve for that deployment loop, or for all those deployment loops, for up to 1 minute," it says. So you can make a note of that if you want. All right. Describe the location of the discriminating sensors. So the discriminating sensors are can also be called front end sensors or side impact sensors. They discriminate where the impact is coming from. Okay? They pick these words to describe certain things that go together, right? So it discriminates, that's how you remember. An arming sensor is something that's going to detect that motion. A discriminating sensor is going to tell you where that collision is happening at. Okay? So that can be in the front of the vehicle or the side of the vehicle. As of yet, far to know, they don't have any in the rear of the vehicle, but maybe at some point they will. Who knows? Okay? Because sometimes the impact happens like that, right? Sometimes you might be going down the road and lose control, and the car goes around like this, and you may back into a tree instead of head on into a tree. But they seem to think, backing into it, the seat's going to hold you, I guess. But anyway, whatever. Discriminating sensors. Okay, so discriminating sensors. This one has front end sensors, and they're labeled on here. Okay, they're labeled on your schematic here. On the left side of the schematic, there says, down a little way, it says left inflatable restraint side impact sensor, right inflatable frontal sensor at the right rear of the front frame cross member. So that's where it tells you where that's at. Location of discriminating sensors. Well, the right frontal one and the left frontal one, it says, are at the right rear of the front frame cross member or the left rear of the front frame cross member. So these are mounted to the frame of the vehicle. You'll have the frame horns come out. There's one on the right side and one on the left side at the back of that. Okay, so these are mounted directly to the frame of the car. So discriminating sensors 2C is going to be on the frame of the vehicle, in the front of the vehicle. All right. The side impact sensors are going to be in the doors, left and right front doors. Okay. There's no other place to put those, really. Right? That's where they're going to be. All right. So there is a left inflatable restraint side impact sensor there. So evidently this one just has the one for the driver. It doesn't have one for the passenger seat. Just the driver's seat has one. It's labeled right there. But it's going to be in the driver's door. Okay. So we got side one in the driver's door. The two front ones are left and right on the frame of the vehicle. Just back a little bit. All right. So that's question number 2. Question number 3, it says what fuse number and amperage rating is used for the airbag? So what do you think? It's like a lot of our wiring diagrams, the power starts at the top. So it says right there. In the underhood fuse box, left side of the engine compartment, we have a 10 amp fuse, and it's called supplemental restraint system, SRS fuse. And it also says it's hot in the on position and the start position. Okay? So, it's an SRS fuse, labeled, and it's 10 amps. Excuse me. All right? Question number 4, it says describe the location of the grounds for the airbag. Well, I looked over this for a minute. I didn't see any ground wires. Then I saw where it said ground. Okay, do you see it? Well, the SDM itself, or the Inflatable Restraint Sensing and Diagnostic Module, and it says there too that it's below the rear of the center console. So it tells us right there that it's under the console. We also see right above that where it says that, it says case ground, and our little ground symbol is right there. Okay, so the case of the module is bolted directly to the body, and that's our ground. So that's our ground for the whole system. Okay, all right. So for the deployment side of the airbags, for the operation of the module itself internally, the ground that is needed for all that to happen is attached to the case of the module, because it's aluminum, look at, and then it's bolted directly to the body, which is also ground. Okay, so all of that information really is on our schematic here. Pretty much the location of all the parts is found right there, except for that side impact sensor. It didn't tell us where that was at. Okay, but it also shows the deployment loops on here too. Say on the right side here, about middle ways, it says right front inflatable restraint side impact module in the right front seat back. Okay, so it does have one on the right side. I'm sorry. And I've just made a note there that those are all about 2.5 ohms. And the ones down here in the steering wheel, this is a dual stage system because there's 2 squibs there, right? So they're usually about 2.5 ohms. I just made a note there. The one over here on the passenger side, it's a dual stage. You see that there's 4 wires going to it. And then the one that's in the the driver's seat over here too. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 deployment loops on this car, okay, of this vehicle. You might make a note of that there's 6 deployment loops there. 6 deployment loops. Okay? And that's what it's going to show on the scan tool. It'll show stage 1, stage 2 there, stage 1, stage 2 there, and then the ones over here. It'll show them, and it'll say passenger side, stage 1, passenger side, stage 2, etc. However many is on the vehicle, it'll be labeled that way. Okay? So, something else you might just take note of that I noticed up here at the top too, on the right side here. So let me come up here to the video. Let's see if we can get this to show up. It doesn't look too... Yeah, there we go. All right, see where I've marked data circuit right there? Okay, very important. We've got a data circuit that runs over to the module. So that data circuit then is connected to other modules that need to know about this, particularly maybe OnStar, things like that, brake module, something like that. Okay, so yeah, we've got a data circuit in there too. All these are going to have a data circuit. All right. All right. So, arming and disarming and diagnostics. So that's a real brief, just overview, and then just a little bit about how that looks on the schematic itself. All right. Okay. All right. So that takes care of that one, I think. All right. All right. Let's see what else we got here. That's task sheet 86. That's 2003 Envoy SIR schematic, and all that is in your Moodle there for you. Okay? We're going to turn this off, and then we're going to do another one here. All right.